And welcome back, folks. Sorry that my voice is interrupting that lo-fi hip-hop, but we've got what could be the conclusion of blackpear versus Fladervy. I am Electric, currently solo in the booth. Espel winding his way through the maze that is GSA's office corridors, trying desperately to find his way here, but should be here pretty shortly. Got our guys set up with the new file named blackpear. Looks like he's spending a little bit of time with the core between these two sessions. Not totally sure what Flad was warming up on, but in case you weren't here for the last matchup, Flad took it 2-0, but a really interesting thing happened beforehand. He actually got an offline PB, unfortunately unrecorded since he was just warming up for this race and didn't expect anything of it, but Flad is now the second person to have a sub 28 time in Celeste with a 27:55. We did see the confirmation screenshot, but unfortunately, I don't believe that can be uploaded to the leaderboards due to it being a completely unrecorded PB. So, last two races, we were certainly really hoping that he could maybe clinch something like that in our races. But so far, late game has been giving him just a tad of trouble. blackpear playing really solidly as well, just with mistakes here and there, letting Fladervy get some pretty significant leads. Ooh, and blackpear actually messing up towards the start of prologue. You never want to see any sort of time loss here. Should pretty well be a consistent section, especially since they force you not to actually use any boosts here. So blackpear already starting himself off with about a second disadvantage, unfortunately. Looks like he had a higher 27 rather than Flad's rounded up 26. So, but yeah, Flad's early gameplay in these past two races has just been incredibly consistent. And if he can manage to pull that off with a really great late game, I wouldn't be surprised if we're able to see him either match or maybe even exceed his current verified PB of a 28:09, it seems, according to the stat sheet. And blackpear already taking a couple of deaths here in Forsaken City, not getting off to a great start in this first race of match 2. Technically speaking, his third race against Flad today. Flad making some nice little progress here. Beautiful corner boost in that screen there. Just absolutely soaring through City at the moment. And being nice and close to the end. blackpear with even more deaths. Really interesting what's happening here. blackpear just kind of... Oh, and what a weird way to lose time in this room. Just really shaky start to this run from blackpear's side, and he really can't afford this. He's looking to win out these next two matches, and getting a loss in this first race, he just cannot get that boost over to this side of the room. Finally able to make it happen, but I mean, look at the deficit he's already starting with. Flad getting a, let's see here, like about traditional like 10x that we've come to expect from him. Meanwhile, blackpear with a 120 some odd time. No, 130s. It's, wow, just substantial time loss. He just cannot get around these corners for whatever reason. A really unfortunate start to this race. I mean, look at this. blackpear losing almost 30 seconds. No, more than 30 seconds, almost 40. Finally making his way over to the ending here. Just an absolutely, just a complete Madeline meltdown of a start from blackpear. This is not at all where you want to lose this much time. I mean, it can be excused to like fail Bub's drop 3 times and lose about 40 seconds. This is just unheard of. Absolutely brutal start. blackpear hopefully shaking himself off and, maybe inventing some sort of amnesia substance that takes immediate effect. Because, I mean, at this point, all you would want is to just get rid of the memory of that start. But nope, already taking a death before even getting the dream blocks activated in the old site. Meanwhile, Flad is already just about through with the battle and chase section. Already has the huge battle and train here. Yeah, I mean, just for a sense of perspective, blackpear's average city time is a 106, which is pretty well in line with what you'd expect from runners. Before that, his worst was a 116. And he just got a 145, literally 30 seconds worse than his already worst. really, really unfortunate start, as we see him like almost towards the start of the battle and chase, as Flad is already making his way handily through the awake section. And yeah, Spirity, he just had probably the worst chapter 1 I've personally seen. City just really did him in, having tons of trouble with those corner boosts and such to be able to skip some rooms. Just a complete Madeline meltdown. And I'm looking through our stat sheet here. Flare Bear, it looks like, has the worst league time beforehand with a 133. So just a really... Oh, no, I'm sorry. M Sushi did at some point have a 136 City. So that is... It looks like our actual previous worst. Just unfortunate for Blackbear to start out this match this way, especially with how much he's been wanting to succeed here. Because, I mean, Vlad already has that huge advantage with that match 1 win. And so Vlad also just kind of running away with the opening of this race in this match, making a really, really solid progression through Old Site. So he's already in Chapter 3, making his way nearly to the huge mess before Blackpear is even able to open the resort door. Let's see here. I'm thinking Vlad may end up actually opening the key to the old mess before Blackpear is able to open the key to the resort. It's going to be a bit close. Okay, Blackpear going to be getting that key nice and fast. So look at this. Vlad opening the door to the big mess just before Blackpear able to even get inside the resort. Really, really brutal way of starting this race. But as we've seen before, there are a lot of opportunities to waste significant time in the late game. So, I mean, a really unfortunate start from Blackpear, but you have to remember that we're only about 5 minutes into a 30-minute run. So anything can and does happen in these races. And if anything, this could just serve as an extended warm-up for that next race for Blackpear. And so Vlad, with the spike jump boost issue there. Making it work the second time around, though, to go ahead and clear out the crates and such here. Madeline's cleaning skills really on point, spending that entire section not touching any of that mess, and then right at the end, you just bonk into one that's contained in a bubble, and the rest just magically fix themselves. Certainly very, very accurate physics on the part of Matt Thorson. Shoutouts. As Blackpear is now making his way into the mess, as Vlad has already cleared a third of it. This is a just really rocky start for Blackpear. And Vlad with that weird corner boostless movement, missing that first boost, and then ending up just kind of having a bit of trouble resetting after that. As Vlad moving into the laundry section, this was where he took his first unintentional death in one of the previous races, so we'll see if he makes it through. It's this room right here, that pretty precise boost past that Dust Bunny, but it works for him this time around, as he's able to make his way handily towards the final of the 3 messes he has to clear. And good to go. Near synchronized mess clearing animations there. Unfortunately, Blackpear's is the first, as Vlad's is the last. And so Vlad already making a really, really good pace to go ahead and start off this run. That's certainly what we enjoy seeing here. As we go ahead and pull the stat sheet back up. He's coming up to Demo Dash here. 80% success rate from him. And it's good and clean, taking just an extra second to make sure that visual lineup was good. Not even bothering with the checkpoint there, wanting to squeeze every last bit of time save out of Demo Dash. Really, really confident in his abilities. And you really shouldn't be surprised by that with having such a high rate of success in the league. Really, all of his tricks, besides the full yeet, have an just insane success rate. Okay, and Vlad making his way handily through the Oshiro chase, not liking or that was interesting that how he seemed to get that down boost instead of the intended right boost. Not sure exactly what happened. Maybe that was like some sort of cycle manipulation that I just didn't catch, but kind of weird way to miss some time there. And so Flad going to be finishing out Resort with a 418. Very nice 9-second save over his average time there. No mistakes really whatsoever as blackpear goes ahead and grabs the checkpoint and gets demo dash. But immediately fails that corner boost in the next room to save a little bit more time even. So Flad going to be getting a really, really nice, solid start going into Ridge. I think we potentially do still have significant PB on the table. But remember that it really seemed to have been Temple and Beyond that was what tripped Flad up on that in our previous races here. Is blackpear doing his own Oshiro chase. Yeah, IG Chris, something like that. At least looking at his average times, he is performing better than his race averages. And this Ridge so far, at least, looks like it'll be no exception. Really, really nice movement as we've come to expect from Fladervy. Fladervy. Whatever way that you would like to say his name. I'm sure it's a tomato-tomato situation. Blackpear going to be finishing up his resort. He seems to have kind of shaken himself off a decent amount. 444, and his average on resort has been a 445, so seems like he is overall back in the saddle, but Vlad really not giving him a whole lot of room to even catch up at all with how insane his average times are. I mean, blackpear is, even if he did everything perfectly to his PB, he'd still probably lose time, as Vlad taking an unfortunate death in this room, wasting a good few seconds. This is one of those longer rooms in Ridge that just eats up some significant time when you take a spike death like that. As blackpear also going ahead and getting an interesting start to Ridge here. And so now Flad is going to not skip any sort of auto scroller. Unfortunately, I don't believe there's been any sort of RTA viable skip found for that one. Could come in the future, maybe even with the Chapter 9 patch, if it happens to do anything else to the movement of this game. But, you know, we'll just have to wait and see on that one. Flad has about a minute left of gameplay in Ridge. Before we move on to one of the really, really insane sections of the run, that Temple 5. Define possible has any remote chance of happening. Like even like a 0.001, like 1,000% chance of happening. Yeah, blackpear with some kind of interesting guess there. As Flad gonna be finishing with a, let's see, I think a 30X. Oh no, a 244. What am I even thinking here? Actually managing to get just a second off of his best time on Ridge, even with that one kind of longer death. Wow. Oh, my bad. Okay. I wasn't sure if I was thinking of the right thing, since I still, for whatever reason, have a bit of trouble actually, like telling the difference between, like if you showed me a screen from Ridge proper and then showed me a screen from like 2,000 meters, there's a decent chance I would probably get the two confused. Oh wait, really? It's a 235. Okay, I'm just, you know what? I'm on blackpear's stat sheet. Whoops. That would have been a really, really stellar time for blackpear, but on Flad's side, no. His best is a 238 according to the stat sheet, and the stat sheet does only include the stats from our races, not specifically what happens on his stream. So sorry about that, but Flad has nothing to be sorry for with that really awesome yeet that he just performed. Commentator trying to divert the focus off his really obvious stat screen mistake. And so, Let's see what blackpear is able to pull out with that yeet, and if Flad is able to pull off. We saw the blue column skips earlier, making it look super easy. Definitely a pretty tight set of timings you have to do there. As Flad prepping himself to go ahead and start off 5B. And yeah, so sorry about that. I don't even know. Jeez. Yeah, 108 cassette is just wild. And it's one of those things that, like, I thought that I had seen people go for that strata and ridge before to skip that scroller, but I thought it was a task only for some reason. That's why I'd said, like, RTA viable. Apologies on that. As Flad with a nice first try Bubs drop. Okay, we've really got a wild run on our hands from Flad. Just a death or two that didn't really eat too much time. Lost. Well, his ridge time was right in line with his average with a 244. So I can't say he could really complain too much, although losing 6 seconds off his best. Certainly still on some pretty incredible pace. Jacks, I believe that was the case, yes. I mainly was looking at the chapter time rather than the full time. blackpear getting his start over to 5A to go ahead and grab his tape. Failed corner boost already. Just kind of generally slightly inconsistent gameplay from blackpear that keeps costing him seconds here and there. And ultimately, when you're playing against someone like Flad, you really cannot you just give up that free time, basically. And Flad is going to go for this 1.5 cycle, and he nails it. Very nice. Okay, making some nice gains on that room. That is just so quick, but yet also so precise. Yeah, not far behind his new PB. So we are certainly, if the rest of this goes well and Reflection Summit decide to treat us okay, could be seeing a nice cheeky little low 28 from Flad. If not, you know, maybe that rare 27. But with those little mistakes earlier, certainly is going to be pretty difficult to accomplish. And he can go ahead and add 5B to his accomplishments list. 220. Wow. Basically tying his best time. I didn't actually see the tenths there, but 5B, his best was a 220.5. So just yeah, looks like a new ILPB, at least in a race, as blackpear already failing at the very beginning of the Bubs drop room, and it's not even the drop that he fails. And just not even able to get that wall bounce for Bubs, unfortunately. Gonna have to restart as we've kind of gotten used to with those Bubs fails. Unfortunately, pretty costly time-wise, about 19 seconds, I believe. Yeah, that certainly seems like a personal 5B record. Flad with a clean lake skip here. We really are on a pretty nutty run, boys. Not sure exactly what his BPT still is or how this compares to his PB, but this run so far has been pretty devoid of certainly major mistakes. And aside from just a couple of like 5-6 second errors, we really haven't seen that much else. Flad certainly showing off why people bring his name up when people ask who could possibly dethrone Tej. Reflection going pretty well for him so far here. Ooh, missed a little corner boost there. Going to be eating about a second or so just with Madeline up on that corner. Yeah, that temple seems to have boosted him potentially 6 seconds ahead of his actual PB. Yeah, I don't believe the times people are talking about are referencing that unrecorded PB. Although we can oh, wait. Unfortunately, that was... we actually make a new Discord group for each of the matches, since in this case there was an intermission between the two. And unfortunately, the image that he posted of those times was actually in the old group that most users have already left, myself included. Otherwise, I would bring those up to see how this compares with that unrecorded PB. Nice boost room so far, though. blackpear having issues in the Seeker room again. This was how he closed off his game, too. Let's see if he's going to be able to make the two-side. Ooh, he's starting to melt down just a little bit here. As Flad missing the golden feather entirely, taking that rage pause, ending up deciding that just taking the standard death is going to be a little bit faster. Unfortunate little way to lose a few seconds, but it was early in the room, so still making really, really good time. I definitely don't think that was a 6-second mistake, at least. As he's going to be making his way down into the Battlein big fight. And blackpear just repeated deaths in these later Seeker rooms in 5B, really kind of showing off why exactly 5B is just so brutal. I mean, there's a lot of really, really precise boosting that you have to do from these rooms. And if you want things to be safe, they have to be really, really slow. Yeah, just ridiculous corner boost by Flad. And we're about to see a nice little Battlein boost. You really don't expect this to go bad at this level, especially Flad's level. Nice little music throughout this Battlein fight. Very, very dramatic. You know, you should feel like you're fighting a super villain or something, but Flad just making super quick work. I mean, I don't understand why Battlein doesn't just straight up flee. Why do you keep stopping and looking behind you? You know Flad is just going to catch right up to you and just not even give you a second to breathe. And blackpear finally finishing out 5B. So we can see both just what an insane run Flad is on and also what significant issues blackpear just had at the end of that 5B, that he's just now starting the introductory section of Reflection. Okay, sorry, it's hey or something like that, right? Like that's closer, just correcting it to hey. Beautiful movement, just stellar ending to this Reflection so far from Flad. This is insanely fast. You're exactly right. Look at these hypers and ultras, dude. Getting the text box at 1834. Man, this is a wild run from Flad right now. Meanwhile, blackpear having issues with the Kevin blocks. That's one that you don't normally see. Just not getting the boot. Oh, wow. Melting down in this early part of Reflection. Just not able to get those bear blocks where he needs them to go. As Flad is just cleaning house on this Battlein fight. Look at this. In so many runs, Flad would, and especially most other competitors that aren't Flad, they would be reaching the text box right about, oh, an unfortunate death. No! Flad losing his boost there, gonna have to go back through this entire room. That's really unfortunate. Oh, man. That's probably gonna cost us the PB. It's still going to be an insane pace after this, but just, oh, man. What a rough way to kind of kill that insane 27 potential, because this run was just nutty beforehand. And chat making these accusations of commentators cursed, you know, I can't acknowledge them too much, otherwise I might start believing it myself. A sub 20 still, though, it looks like. Or at the very least, getting pretty close to a 20 OX. Wow, barely sub 20 with a 1959.87. A chapter time of 5:51, which for Flad is unfortunately about a 6-second behind his average and about 15 behind his best. And most of that really just due to that one unfortunate death towards the end of the Battlein fight. Let's hope Battleland decides to treat blackpear at least a little bit better. Especially just in that last room. And so Flad now going to be starting off this nice little summit. Could certainly clinch a really insane low 28 if he manages to pull off a nice summit. His movement so far seems to indicate that he is in that zone. Yeah, not exactly sure what is going on with blackpear. Seems to be making decent progress finally, though. He's just now getting to the hair. Just now. Just way far behind Flad at the moment. Yes, in-game time does allow those breaks. The runners are allowed, just like in PB attempts, runners are allowed to take pretty short breaks. As long as you don't, like, play, like, say, Forsaken City and then stop for an hour before starting Old Site, you're fine. And so Flad with the nice Forsaken City section of Summit. Pretty well don't expect things to get too hard yet, but it's nice to see that he is able to pull out the nice, consistent, quick play. As blackpear does make his way now to Battleland, but just minutes behind at the moment. Vlad, meanwhile, entering the Old Site section of the summit climb, showing off that just beautiful boost block movement there. How are y'all still going? Not entirely sure which y'all is being referenced. These runners, you know, Vlad has experience with those long grinds for PB attempts, and I'm sure blackpear as well. You know, commentators, Troy having to go ahead and step out of the booth. I'll be sticking around through this last match, and we'll be joined by Espo momentarily as soon as he's able to get in on this. Was unfortunately unable to start right on time with us. blackpear making his way nicely through the Battleland fight. Seems to have mostly recovered from the Madeline meltdowns, and I say that right before he misses a corner boost and starts taking a risk of death, but ultimately will save it as Vlad is in the resort section of the summit climb. Oh, Senor, I think that you missed the intermission. There was actually a hour or so intermission between the last set of races and this, which is the first race of this current match. And heard a mic noise. I believe we may have a co-com there. Hello? Okay, I'm just going completely insane, it seems. Never mind, commentator apparently hearing voices. Don't know exactly what that was. Yeah, let's go ahead and get some support for blackpear here for continuing this run despite those pretty wild meltdowns. He's really recovered mentally, that's for sure. His gameplay now is just totally flipped from what we saw at the very, very beginning. Certainly has not stopped fighting despite the pretty significant deficit. Meanwhile, Vlad making quick work of the resort section of the summit. So he's going to be making his way now up the Golden Ridge. Oh, but Vlad unfortunately taking a death instead of the bubble there. Able to get the dash this time around. And kind of just showing off, I mean, Madeline's boosts are pretty well locked into one of either the cardinal directions or one of the diagonals. And so if you end up mistiming the boost into a bubble like that, like it's just an instant death. There's nothing you can do about it, unfortunately. Yeah, Vlad taking some just like really unfortunately costly deaths for how well he's been playing despite. This is going to be a pretty sick race time, but unfortunately it seems he is off the table. Yes, Vlad is still winning. more than likely a meme message, but Flad is still winning. In particular, in this match, blackpear just had a very, very rough start. Even beyond just the Chapter 1 complete Madeline meltdown. It's really been a rough match for blackpear. Numerous rooms have given him just death after death, unfortunately. Yeah, some in chat predicting the blackpear comeback of the century, maybe even of the human civilization's existence. So, we'll see what can happen with that. As Flad making his way into Mirror Temple Summit Edition. Beautiful wall boost into those platforms there. And nice boost. He's got one door skip. Can he get the second? And it's good. Nice. All right. So Flad now going to be making his way very nice and cleanly up to the summit proper and those quick little 30 flags. Missing that crystal, manages to back it up with that quick little fall. Yeah, this one unfortunately ain't it, boys. 20 seconds off PB, but it's worth mentioning that Flad has had improvement in each of these 3 races. So, you know, just keep that in mind. I personally am not even a little stitious as blackpear takes that death at the beginning of Forsaken City, kind of showing that, you know, maybe it's still a little bit in his head that just atrocious Chapter 1 he had earlier. But I'm going to try this new approach of not saying anything about Flad and 27s in this next race, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But, I mean, even though some people are going to be disappointed about him not pulling out a 27 right now, he is going to be pulling out just an insane race time nonetheless. And, I mean, just look at this summit so far. Yeah, so I'm hoping that Flad will save world record for when he plays against TJ Pace. We'll have to see. We'll have to see on that one. Would be pretty insane. Commentator being told to stream, but I'm on a stream right now commentating. I don't know why this wouldn't count for those needs. blackpear making his way pretty clean through Old Sight's dream blocks. Yeah, if we see a double race ride, that would just be completely unheard of. We've already had people get near world records in races, people getting sub-hour in races in Odyssey, for instance. But, you know, what we still haven't seen yet is someone beat the record in a race and then be beaten also by the other player. That would be a just absolute... I don't know if there could be a spicier script for Pace. Well, I'll have to make sure to bring that up to the script authors, because, you know, that would definitely be one for the books, one for the ages, for sure. As Flad going to be approaching the ending of Summit, can he get... I think he may barely be able to squeak out a 28-20. And there it is, folks, a 28-27. So just to recap real fast, Flad has improved by about 20-25 seconds between each of these three races he's raced today. So just absolute awesome performance from Flad. Certainly well above his average of a 28-51. Now the attention's going to turn over to blackpear. Unfortunately, not going to be able to beat his race average with that time loss earlier, but he's been making really, really good progress through Summit. Certainly has picked himself really, really far up from that Forsaken City that we saw at the very beginning. And yeah, let's go ahead and look at some of these Flad times here. I think we all kind of know though that Reflection and in particular the opening of Summit 2 was kind of so. His Summit was better than average. His Reflection was, I think, really where the big time, unfortunately, was wasted. And Ridge as well, that really costly death in Ridge. Mirror Temple, though, was just completely insane. Just absolutely ridiculous. 335 total. I think his best total, like, and keep in mind, in the stat sheets, we track Temple A and Temple B apart, so I don't know what his best together have been, but Temple A and Temple B, their independent best combined is a 328, so about 7 seconds off of that, like, independent best. Game 2 will be in about 5 minutes. Hopefully Espel will be able to navigate his way through that GSA office complex. You know, I got a text from him earlier asking which direction he would have to go from the water cooler, and unfortunately that is not specific at all as being an office complex, we have many water coolers. blackpear unfortunately gonna have to wait for that platform to move to take those kind of casual boost strats up. You're studying bio and need feedback. What are the female and male chromosomes? Well, if I remember correctly, 2X chromosomes is going to be female and X and Y is going to be male. And in the reproductive system, it is the male section that will determine whether a zygote ends up having the X or Y chromosome. Hopefully that is helpful information for you. Yeah, go straight up at the water cooler. I think that probably would have gotten him here, but you know, not exactly sure. A few minutes after that, he seemed to have been somehow in the parking garage, so not entirely sure how that happened. We'll update as events proceed. As blackpear making its way up to the 30 flags, really solid performance on this back half of Ridge, Summit so far. And so, blackpear with some, unfortunate little death from those spikes. Yeah, go ahead and shout out Speedrun to all of, you know, just rearrange the office building, please. Things are very, very confusing. There's no physical booth. Oh man, I took the meme too far then, I guess. No, there is no physical booth. I'm just sitting in my room with a mic in front of my laptop. blackpear with that nice and quick spike death after the checkpoint. I think that was his only death so far, so the flag section of Summit has gone pretty well. Nice 3,000 meters to finish off this race. Just a really nice turnaround from that first chapter. I mean, whenever we saw that first chapter, we were definitely afraid that the rest of the race was just going to be completely lost, but blackpear able to make everything work and pick himself back up off the ground, and hopefully this level of gameplay is what we'll be able to expect from our game 2. We'll have to see. This could be the last race coming up here. blackpear not quite able to get that boost up there, but fortunately Cloud able to respawn in time due to the battling boost as well. Nice little thing that you have that double boost here because it does give you some backup opportunities. Unfortunately, something like that can't really be backed up though, because you just don't have the extra boost for it. At least not the way that he went for it. That's so unfortunate to see things like that. And Speedrun, if you're having issues with the FFZ modes, a bunch of people are today for some reason, myself included. Not exactly sure what's going on there. Battle and dash. Okay. See, I felt weird calling it a boost because there is obviously that other technique way earlier known as the battle and boost. But I for some reason the word dash was escaping me. And I do apologize. I will more than likely end up making a couple of terminology mistakes, but I am certainly trying to get my hands very solid on the vocabulary. 34:20 or so looked like, yeah, 34:32 for blackpear's time. Not the race time that you're hoping for, but especially when you kind of put in some more average times in place of like say Forsaken City and then Temple, you can see that this was a really solid effort from blackpear. Just unfortunate those major mistakes just kept piling him up on him. Just the repeated Madeline meltdowns. I think Mirror Temple was really, yeah, 531 Mirror Temple. That's honestly, he may have been better off doing Mirror Temple 5A. At least if he'd had it kept up and practiced. Kind of unfortunate to see that much time lost. But things happen. And so we will be having this next race here in just a moment. And looks like Espel has finally found the entrance to the commentator's booth, struggling to input the actual passcode into the lock. You know, we've got to make sure that the commentators are fully secure and can't be affected by external influences during the race. So, you know, we have biometric locks. We've got the standard 15 key passcode. Yeah, we're not using the decimal system. We actually are using a base 15 system for the passcode to make it even more obfuscated. Just, you know, really insane door that we have to work with. And Espel showing off that it does take some time. Yes, we are forever trapped here. There actually is not a physical booth. It is a virtual booth. I'm not a person. I'm just a virtual entity. As the other virtual entity, Espel, finally found his way to the commentator's booth. How are you doing today?
I am good. How about yourself?
Doing really, really nice, especially given the gameplay that we've been seeing from Flad. The multiple 20-second improvements, interestingly enough. So, have you heard about what happened in Vlad's warm-up before the first match?
I have not. What happened?
So he actually got a 27 while warming up. Unfortunately, it was unrecorded, but he did report that he had a 27:55 and uploaded a screenshot of the times to prove it. So that's kind of been a bit of the focus throughout these past few races, because he's been on insane pace leaving Resort and Ridge. And it's just been the late game that is kind of been causing him some issues. But especially with that last race, drastically improved over the first two, and he made it all the way almost through Reflection, pretty well on pace for a massive PB.
Nice. Yeah, well, I saw it looked like it ended up being what, like a 28:27 with an 8:27 summit.
Yep, something like that.
Yeah, so it would have been like a really low 28 if he had a really fantastic match. So yeah, that's some solid pace. And so it looks like Vlad won the first match and then has won this first race as well.
Yep, Vlad positioning himself for a 4-0 total sweep, but blackpear, especially if he's able to pull out consistent gameplay like some of the last half of that last race, could certainly be in a better standing position.
All right. Yeah, we will see. 1 second.
And as these guys finish up prologue, quick shout outs. This is really off topic, but one OXU for the reference to Secure, Contain, Protect. It's a really, really cool collaborative writing project on scp-wiki.org. If you're interested in like supernatural fiction and other stuff like that, like it's basically all of these things are like just really weird reality altering things that are just super cool. It's just go start looking them up. 173 is probably the one that you've seen if you've ever read any SCPs in the past. Some of my personal favorites are the milestone ones, like 3000 I believe is a really, really good one, as well as 2000. Gosh, there's so many, and it's kind of hard to remember the like numbers for them sometimes. I think like 3966 is a really good one. Anyway, just as soon as I saw someone shout them out in chat, just had to go ahead and do the name drop for anyone that doesn't know about them. I have no relation to that project. It's just super, super cool. 173 is that like yellow monster that if nothing is looking at it, it can move. But if something is looking at it, it cannot move.
That sounds scary.
Yeah, and it's written in a very, very creative way, because it's like they write everything as if it's like an actual like lab report or a procedure on containing whatever animal it is. So like on that one, they're like, you know, anytime the cage has to be cleaned, there have to be 3 personnel that at least 2 of them are watching it at all times, and they like have to announce if they're about to blink, and they like have like little incident reports of like the like different stuff that's happened. It's just so beautifully made, and anyone can contribute. They have a little section on like what exactly they're kind of looking for style wise. And if you like go look up the highest rated ones, they're all just super quality. These people could probably write like full length like thriller type books and other like just really neat fiction and just be really stellar at it.
Nice. Yeah, no, that sounds good to me.
But anyway, these guys actually pretty well tied going into the battling section of Old Site. Really nice, clean start from both of them. Especially nice to see from blackpear, considering that really rough start he had to the last race.
Yeah, no, everything's looking smooth so far. Including my voice, I hope.
Yeah, a little bit of Mr. Destructoid on the opening, but it has certainly improved over time.
That's good. I hit it a couple of times, so hopefully that worked.
Yeah, that typically the way that you fix complex electronics is through just sheer physical force. At least I've found.
Yeah, I think complex electronics is the nicest thing anyone's ever said about this mic. It certainly seems to have done the job so far.
I mean, it is picking up the voice, so you can't ask for too much more. Senior, I'm not exactly... that does sound like kind of a few of them, actually. There's one that's really cool that's like... It's basically the hooks from SpongeBob, but like a ball of just pointy objects that anyone that's around it for too long has a compulsion to go touch it. But the second that you touch it, like you get ensnared in the ball. And the only way to like save a person is like if they just touched it, like amputate their hand.
And blackpear currently 1 second ahead going into resort. He had a solid 147, while Flad did have a 145 there for Old Site.
Yeah, let's see the door opening at 3:38 for him. So Flad gonna be actually right about the same going into this resort here. Yeah, the transitions could be a little bit weird, like going and it's just like a little bit hard to identify leads when they are as close as they are, but the timers are just a tad desynced.
Yeah, for sure. For me, it's always just sort of like picking one point when Madeline does something very clearly, like hits one of the buttons in huge mess. I don't know if they're buttons, or finishes one part of the level or something, and then seeing where the other person is at, doing that exact same thing. That is my unsophisticated method. I believe there's, as blackpear misses the key there. Something that doesn't happen very often. You have to take a very specific angle to miss the key there, but he manages to do it.
Yeah, kind of unfortunate, but able to recover decently handily. So, Flad with the attempted kind of flashy corner dash, but ends up just kind of reverting himself backwards a bit in the huge mess, and that's kind of why huge mess is such a difficult section to optimize, because as you can very plainly see, there are tons of corners. And so if you want to develop that really high speed and carry that momentum through, you have to do some pretty insane corner boosts throughout, which you have the opportunities to, thankfully, but it at the same time, like, it doesn't make it easy.
Yeah, and you could see Flad had a solid 4 or 5 mess ups there in the huge mess section. Each one, of course, just a tiny little amount of time, but they definitely really added up there. And I think that's one thing for people, at least for me, where it's all sort of muscle memory. And if I mess up like that first part of huge mess, I do tend to get a little flustered sometimes, and it can really mess with all the rest of it.
Yeah, it's really difficult. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe that Celeste yet has like a mid-room save state tool. So I don't think that you could like say just practice huge mess with like a backup sort of practice where you purposely mess up the very beginning and try to restart from like a quarter of the way through. And so it does actually have a mid-room save state.
That is a nice corner boost from Flad. So Demo Jameson of Demo Dash fame did recently create a really nice tool where you can do different things. Like you can set flags to have it end the timer at a specific point, and you can also create save states sort of where you like. So like I was watching someone the other day, they wanted to time a room. So they set a save state at a specific point at the beginning of the room, and then set a flag at a specific point at the end of it, and then timed exactly how long it took to get from one point to another.
That's really, really sweet. Okay, I must be you said it was a pretty new revelation? That's really cool.
It's like a month or two old at this point. Yeah, it's Demo Jameson, who to me is the most mysterious person in the Celeste community, who found Demo Dash. He also found he figured out how to utilize the Bubs Drop or Bubs Drop.
Also, just real quick, speaking of those Demo Dashes, both our guys getting them first try, nice and easy. So yeah. Still really close together coming out of Resort. I think this is the first race that blackpear has been able to hold his own throughout this long.
Yeah, it's been looking good for him so far. He created this tool that does a lot of different things. And so you've seen, especially with like some of these people grinding some of the ILs, the individual chapters, really using the room timer and some of these save state things to figure out exactly what the fastest way to beat each individual little room is, and really, I don't know, just
go in on the optimization.
Yeah, where like before is like, a 59 in city, and now we're down to a 58, and so it's having figured out like 0.1 second or 0.05 seconds here, or another half a second there.
And just whatever you have to do to shave off those little bits of time. And they can be really hard to identify when ultimately it can be kind of imprecise without these advanced practice tools to time things like that.
Yeah, it's interesting because you'll eyeball it and be like, I'm pretty sure this one is faster. And we'll have, there are other ways of timing it less, not perfect, but solid ways of timing it that people have done. But there have been things that we've just been like, we're pretty sure this is faster. But I guess not 100% sure. But now we can really be positive.
Yeah.
And Vlad did mention, in fact, just today about how he's been struggling a little bit with hand pain. So it's an unfortunate part of gaming, but
yeah, definitely have to make a point to keep up with your hand health. Definite shout outs to both the Smashboard Staying Healthy post. If you just look up Smashboard Staying Healthy, you can find this really nice comprehensive post on pre-stretches, during match stretches, and then strengthening exercises. And it's just having a good stretch regimen. It really makes a huge difference. Like, it's kind of amazing. I'll notice, like, when I first wake up in the mornings, my hands are just really stiff. Nothing will pop. It's just everything feels so bad. But then after spending a few minutes doing those stretches from, and even not even all of them, but like just a few specific ones from that thread ends up helping so much.
Yeah, and that's, thanks to many years of sacrifice of melee players' hands getting completely destroyed. And
Yup.
need for it.
And also huge shout outs to Torge, the OOT Any Percent runner, for really being proactive about mentioning that forum post and kind of spreading it around various speed gaming communities. Because it certainly helped me a lot. And I wasn't even experiencing things that bad. There's some people that have had a lot more severe stuff, like nearly losing like feeling in their hands and such.
Yeah, it can definitely be some scary stuff.
And plus, if you're like me and like kind of a natural fidgeter, there's a lot of it that you can do just like doing nothing in particular. I'm actually doing like the full wrist rotations right now. So, and Wataka's asking, why don't these guys just try turning their hands off and back on again? You know, I don't know. It seems to be a good solution. Yeah.
You could, I guess, just kind of chop them off and then reattach them and see if that does anything.
Yeah, true. Shoutouts to Time Wanderer 33, raiding with a party of 12. Hope your stream went well. Thank you so much for that raid.
Yeah, and we saw Flad take a death right at the end of that screen there. He got a 243, so it would have been even more of like a 240-ish or so without the death. So a really solid ridge there from Flad as well. They both end right at pretty much the exact same time, except that Flad's timer is like 30-ish seconds.
Yeah, something like that. So this has definitely been the best race that blackpear has had in these 4 today. Certainly, you know, he has let a bit of a lead develop on Flad's side, but ultimately blackpear is playing really, really strongly in this match as these guys go into Temple A, kind of the calm before the storm of 5B.
Yeah, and we see about I think that's like a 30-ish second difference. And certainly, I don't know if he's on pace or not, but if we're looking at blackpear, at least on the leaderboards, having a PB of 29 minutes and 33 seconds, we'll keep an eye on that.
It would be pretty nice to see him pull out some sort of PB. Nice yeet from Flad and an unfortunate yeetin from blackpear. It's always tough to see when you can't pull out your full yeets.
And then does take a death there on that screen. A good retry to immediately recognize how bad of a position he was in.
Yep. So that's going to be a 109 Temple A from Flad. Time Wanderer showing off a slow run of Celeste, and so dropping off his viewers with a speed run. Thanks so much. If this is your first time watching Celeste runs, you're in for a real treat. Celeste, kind of one of the biggest things that makes it have so much potential as a speed game is the speed cap is like a lot softer than most other games. A lot of games will be like, if you're going this fast, you cannot accelerate. Celeste is like, if you're going this fast and you do corner boosts or other specific dashes, you can go really fast.
Yeah, if you're going this fast, well, have you thought about going faster?
Yeah.
Maybe you'd like to.
If you would like to go faster, please apply here with this precise dash. And Flad, meanwhile, showing off Bub's drop first try. Another really nice and hype run for this, what could be the final run of the 3 matches between blackpear and Flad. If Flad wins this, he has punched his ticket to pace. He will be in those semifinals live, which we haven't really talked about today, or at least during this match and the previous.
Well, I sure haven't heard about it.
Oh, you haven't? Well, pace will be happening
today.
The 25th of April. At Xanadu, Maryland. Gonna run through did I say it started the 28th? I meant it starts the 25th, running through the 28th. It will be where we will have the semifinals and grand finals live for both this Celeste Any Percent League, our SMO Any Percent League, and the Super Mario 64 70-star League. We'll also have a number of really cool showcase runs, almost as cool as this 1.5 cycle Seeker room that Flad just rocked very, very beautifully. And it's just going to be a super hype time. I will be there calming those Celeste Grand Finals. We're going to have just just such a great time, both live and for those watching on Twitch. So certainly looking forward to that. And yes,
for sure.
Fladervy does have transportation arranged if he does win and make it 2 pace. That is actually why Nero unfortunately had to drop and wasn't in the playoffs at all, was because he knew that if he had made it 2 pace, he would not have been able to go. And so he went ahead and just dropped his spot so that someone else that would be for sure able to go would be able to compete in these playoffs.
I'm curious, how has Flad been doing on that 3-pillar strat so far today?
It's been good. And I mean, this race and the last race, he rocked it and got it first try, super clean. And I just want to go ahead and say he just got 2 seconds off his best in Temple B. Granted, his average Temple B has been really, really solid, but this is another pretty nice run from Flad so far.
Yeah, that's what, 109 with a 221. That's it's a pretty good tempo.
Yeah, so in total, just about exactly a 330. And like that's really the sort of times that people would bring up when the first debate was going on like if 5B would actually be faster. Ooh, Flad failing lake skip though, not getting that spike jump the first try. He is able to get it this time though. A pretty quick death overall. Oh, sorry, Crimson Cat. I believe that is just on your end. I'm not sure, but yes, there is a way that he is already arranged for all of that. So everyone in everyone in the playoffs will be able to come to pace if they will be moving on to the semifinals. That has already been confirmed with all 8 of our guys. And IG Chris, I don't believe that I don't know if anyone can take you up on that offer. Different sponsors this season.
I am happy to take the over on that one. If someone would to give me a lot of money, that would be great.
You know, I think I'll have to go ahead and take the under though. Flat has been playing really, really well, and it's just gotten better with each race, it seems. And aside from like that death towards the end of Ridge, he really has not made any significant mistakes.
You know, it's been pretty solid overall.
Spirit betting a 280X. Yeah, the speedrun is really, really wild in this game.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things that just like playing through the first 7 chapters normally, you don't realize that it exists at all in the game.
Yeah, especially
it just looks like you're hacking.
Yeah, one of the like big basic techniques is called hyper dashing. For whatever reason, when you crouch Madeline and do a dash, so like if you hold down and right and then dash, you'll get more speed out of it than just holding a right dash. It's pretty interesting, and that forms like the very basic foundation of a lot of the stuff that you're seeing. Just like the various ways that like pressing Madeline like into a wall or a corner and then dashing from that position. Ooh, a really interesting death. I think Flad just dashed really early there. Really unfortunate time loss in this room.
It's rough. If you don't hit that bumper quite like how you want to, then you don't get over towards the shortcut right at the spot that you're used to. And you can definitely see when one of these people isn't sort of holding down, like Flad wasn't there through the shortcut, you know that he's not comfortable with where he's at. But once you saw that, I was like, oh, this isn't looking good. And he did end up taking a death there.
Yeah, so over looking like the better side of that bet on Flad's time. Really rough that Reflection seems to be doing him in again.
blackpear taking the checkpoint there in the ravine, taking a death, so it ended up working for him in a way. He didn't have to start from the beginning, and did make up time on Flad in that screen.
Yep, and still, see, I think he's probably a good minute 30 behind, give or take.
Seems about right.
So I believe that is his best pace in today's races so far.
I love that screen from Flad so much. And you've got the beginning there, and you just build up so much speed.
Really, just like every screen in this battle and fight is just so cool. The like, especially when you remember how many times you had to go through all these rooms casually, and it just like was such a struggle to hit Battling every single time. And then these guys are just breezing on through. Like, you really wonder why the AI doesn't at a point just like make Battling start running away and not stop.
Yeah, it's like, okay, if you're going this fast, we're not even gonna mess with you.
Look, I mean, I'm gonna say that you're not a mountain climber, but it's obvious you're a mountain climber at this point. I mean, I have to give it to you. I don't know what happened. You know, I'm sure from Madeline's perspective, seeing speedrunners in Madeline's shoes must be pretty confusing, but
Well, I'm just imagining like Sand smiling at you and being like,
Yup. That was like exactly what was in my head too. Shoutouts to Undertale for establishing just a good reference point when you're talking about like what would the characters in the game think about like what you're doing externally.
Yeah, I think about that all the time. As blackpear takes a really unfortunate death there, just kind of got caught up right at the end. But yeah, of just like, you know, I think in a lot of different games, especially, I mean, anywhere you're just like mindless killing thing, I think of Undertale every time.
Yup. Really, once you do a genocide run, that sticks with you. It's really kind of wild, like, how the less you play the game, acknowledging, like, the like, kind of distinct soul, if you will, that all the characters have, the more it, like, kind of throws that really deep, like, I don't know, it's like, when you play the game in the pacifist route, for the most part, it doesn't have that reality bending stuff. Like, it's just really, you know, like a kind of sweet, wholesome story overall. And then, like, you go through the genocide round, and it really drives home that, like, these are real characters that you're killing.
Yeah.
It's just such an eloquently written game. I just absolutely love it.
It is. And there's like one spot, and this is spoilers for Undertale. But there's just like a shop with a note that's just like, please don't hurt us.
Yeah.
That really just like got me.
The one that gets me is the shop before that, where like the turtle is still there and he'll still sell you things, but like it's like if you start talking to him, he like says the entire reason that he's there is to like waste your time so that the other people can get out.
Yeah.
And like he's just not afraid of you because he's already seen everything and he's so old. Like it's a really wild thing.
It is. It's almost as good of a game as Celeste. It's a great game.
Oh, definitely. It's just kind of unfortunate that there's obviously not really any significant movement tech aside from like the wall bumping and Flad taking a kind of rough death here to start out Summit.
Yeah, it's a rough screen.
I will take this opportunity to blame Deckcap, saying I hope this Summit is super clean. You know, people have been going on and on about Commentators curse, but gonna take the opportunity to bring out the chat curse.
Yeah, a little bit of a DC, a little bit of a Deckcap curse. Yep. I guess DC.
Yeah, something like that.
So, and he was mentioning that because Flad did have it was what, like a 1957 going into Summit, and so if he did get like say an 807, that would end up being, you know, it would be like a 28-0 something.
Yeah, which is just a bonkers time.
Mm-hmm. As blackpear getting through the 500 here. We'll see how he does on this screen. Okay, doesn't do the terrible reverse there, and is able to get through pretty much unscathed.
Yeah, I think chat was pointing out before that reverse only saves like 2 seconds or something, or no, 2 frames. My bad.
That one's got to save a little bit more than 2 frames, I would imagine. With the ultra that you can do with it and everything. But I don't know exactly. I'd have to go to Demo Jameson's room timer to figure out exactly how much, or I guess ask one of many people.
Yeah, the commentators in the booth with the advanced meta now. As Vlad moving on into the resort 1500 section. Blackpear about a minute 20 behind time-wise and still in old sight.
Yeah, and able to get all these dream hypers. And does a wall boost at the beginning of this last screen in 1000 that I haven't seen before. It's a nice wall boost from Blackpear there. As Flad goes through and does a bunch of ultras. As Flad does.
Yep. Vlad will take your awesome performance on a room and just completely one-up it.
It's looked like a really good 1500 so far.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And so now is probably not the best time, but one thing I was thinking of for the worst possible way to commentate Celeste, which is something I think about a lot, is directional commentary, where you just mention every direction that Madeline goes in.
Oh man. Right,
Just
right, up, right, up, right, up, right, up, right, up, up.
Right, up, right, down, right, left. Yeah, it just imagine doing that for like 3 minutes straight.
Oh man. Oh man.
Die, probably.
I'm just imagining that like Samir, you're destroying the car clip. Middle left, middle left. Have you seen that clip? Oh man.
I have not.
It's these guys like on like a dirt track trying to like drift this car like crazy, and apparently the guy that's actually driving is doing a really bad job of it because the router is just like screaming at him at one point like, Samir, you're breaking the car. But yeah, like he's just repeatedly giving the directions like medium left, and he just keeps saying medium turns over and over.
Oh no.
Yeah, so Teal, the race 1 in match 1 was a low 29. Match 1 race 2 was a 2840 something. Then in this matchup, his first race was a 28 2x, I think like a 2827 or so. And in this race, he's slated to potentially beat that if he is able to pull off a really, really nice flag section. Wadakus with the nice little burn there, saying the story was medium funny.
Wow.
You know, maybe trying to get medium banned in the chat. Who knows?
I'll be honest. It's been a long day for me. I didn't really process any of the words that you said from it. I pretended to though, pretty good.
Yeah.
Saving really nicely at the end of that screen, just barely catching onto that wall there.
Yeah, really, Flat is 4 for 4 on those door skips, and that backup is part of the reason why. When a trick like that starts to go kind of wrong, a player like Flat is able to recover really gracefully and make it look almost intentional.
Yeah.
Wadakus is saying that you were only medium listening to the story. Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, somewhat.
So I think Vlad may have made it to flags a little bit before his last pace, but again, still not 27, of course. Wait a minute, what? 3.5 seconds behind PB, apparently. Well, let's see what Vlad can pull out in this flag section. Blackpear with the nice dashing through 2500. Nice door skips.
Okay, that was a nice take there from Flad.
Yeah, just barely low on that platform and able to really, really quickly back it up. Okay, he's gotten himself up to flag 19. Okay. And Evan's fight, the only thing we've seen from that PB is like the screenshot of the file select screen, and that was only shared, I believe, like in the back room. I don't know if Vlad made that public. Vlad making some really, really good progress so far, though. This has been, if he hasn't had intended movement so far, it's been very, very gracefully backed up throughout this flag section.
Yeah, it's been looking smooth for both of them.
Oh, taking that death instead of getting the boost around the corner. Really unfortunate, because that was some insane pace before that. Is blackpear going to be joining him in the upstairs section?
Yeah, he's up to flag 3 now, and so we're not going to see a 27 for sure, but a really solid time from Vlad.
Yeah, I think he is still going to manage to pull out that third improvement within these 4 races that he's performed today. Let's see what he's able to swing, but I'm thinking it could be, if this last section is really, really clean, could be a 28-1X.
Yeah, it's looking like it. As we're seeing a little stumbles, but that's not going to keep him from the 28-18 there. Nice.
Very nice. And with that, and Vlad's win against blackpear, that does mean that he has officially won 2 matches against blackpear, and so he will be moving on to the semifinals at pace, the second to fully qualify along with Tej. So huge congrats and shout outs to Fladervy for being the second to punch that ticket.
I'm definitely excited to see both of them there.
Yeah, that should be a really, really cool matchup. They were going into this, the number 1 and number 2 seeds. I'm not exactly sure how the seeding is going to work for those semifinals and then grand finals. But the other matchups that will need to happen before we can show off the completed bracket, we will have tomorrow at 5 p.m. EST, Malay versus M Sushi. And if that needs to go into a match 3, that will take place Thursday at 5 EST. And then also Psyched versus Chai Kitty. The final match for that will happen on 2 p.m. EST on Thursday.
I believe what's the score of that one? Do you know?
It's 1 to each of them, or at least I that seems like, yeah. Looking back through, they've already had 2 matches, it looks like.
Okay. So that'll be an exciting one to watch for sure.
Or if they haven't, they just haven't scheduled the 3rd one for some reason. Interesting. Because it looks like on the calendar I'm only seeing 2, but in any event, let's see. No interview from Pair. Fladervy will be joining us for an interview, though. It certainly will be interesting to kind of pick his brain, especially given that like really impressive warm-up time and maybe how that's kind of affected these runs.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, yeah, just kind of waiting for just a moment for Vlad to come around for that post-race interview. I mean, yeah, we certainly a really exciting set, and Vlad really gave us a lot to process ultimately. Really kept us on the edge of our seat, especially with both those races in match 2, making it all the way to like the mid-late game before unfortunately losing those runs to, or at least losing them for world record attempts, but like really solid performances. I mean, imagine getting 328s in a row in these match situations.
Yeah, it's difficult for me too. For sure.
Some people detecting or predicting that the 26 will happen during pace. Not sure how likely that is. I think you might be a tad disappointed.
Yeah, might be a task disappointed for sure. It's, yeah, it's,
Yeah, what is the task time right now? It's like a 23 or something, I think.
that sounds about right. Yeah,
Pretty
I don't
insane for any
know
percent.
the new Seasides task at all, but that one's really impressive. You're able to fly through the final screen of 8C like it's nothing. Like Madeline disappears to the right side of the screen because she's going too fast for the camera to catch up to her.
That's pretty insane, especially like even though there's that little bit of delay between the screen transitions, it's certainly not very long at all for a sprite to fly all the way across.
Yeah. So I would definitely recommend checking out the Seasides task. The 8C and the 6C I think are probably a little bit the craziest ones. And you've got like the Summit Seaside has just a ton of demos in it. Um and yeah, all of it is just really cool to watch. And yeah, so it's looking like we won't have any interviews today, which is no
Yeah,
problem. Got entertained for a few hours with some really fantastic Celeste from both of them.
yeah, unfortunate on those interviews, but I mean, the races certainly did speak for themselves. I feel like Flad with just the awesome performance in all three of these. Certainly showing off that he is very, very well capable of being up there with Tej, which I think is what a lot of people are kind of looking for is who is going to manage to stand the best chance against TGH in those grand finals and semifinals too if they end up facing them there. So, but anyway, thank you so much for stopping by to watch our races on GSA today, everyone. It's been a pleasure calming these. Tomorrow, we will be starting off at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard with some Super Mario 64 action. 70-star Toast Rider versus Cheese. If you watch the first race of that at 10 p.m. Sunday, then you're probably already on board scheduling with every one of your friends to go watch this next race. It was absolutely bonkers, just really, really close with 49s in both those first two races. Cheese did manage to take 2-0, but he really had to work for it against Toast. So, especially with that playoff spot on the line, this game too is going to be really, really exciting. But if you're only here for Celeste, then 5 p.m. EST, we will be having Malay versus Sushi. That should also be a really, really nice, cool match. Both of them really, really solid players, and if this match was, maybe a tad too one-sided in your opinion, then they will certainly be closer in skill level. So should be a really, really exciting close set of races. And then finally, 7 p.m. tomorrow, we've got Byro versus Ouija and yet another 70-star league race. But if you unfortunately can't come around for any of those three, one last time, thank you so much for stopping by today, and we hope to see you again in the future. I'm Electric, and Espel, it's been a pleasure co-calming with you.
Same. Thanks for. I'm glad I could catch this at the end here and do some commentary with you. It's been fun.
Absolutely. It's always a nice little pleasure. And we'll be dropping our host on someone. So peace out, everyone. Hope to see you again later.